Welcome everybody. This is CodeHS's 2024 Back to School webinar series. And we have people online and we also have people who are going to be watching later. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started, but you're in the right spot if you're here to talk about using AI to curate educational content for elementary school. And we're going to do some things interactively, and I'll share with you some tips that have worked over the last year and a half since AI came out. So let's get to it right away. Your CodeHS presenters, I'm going to introduce both of us. My name's David Kleinhans. I was a 15-year teacher in the Chicago area, and I've been at CodeHS for the last year and a half. And so has Robin. Robin was also in my cohort, and she's also a PD specialist here to help teachers on their journey, and she'll be sharing some links in the background. So you can find those links in the chat. So if you want to familiarize yourself with Zoom, the chat's usually on the bottom with the clouds, with the three ellipses or three dots, and there's also a Q&A. And so if you want to participate and ask questions, I'd encourage you can use either tool. The advantage of the Q&A is it's easier to kind of control the distribution list. But from our perspective, feel free to use either. All right. So first thing, if you'd like a CodeHS account, they're free and there's curriculum that you can use. You can go to codehs.com, sign up. This is not something you need for today. It's just a link that you may want to hold on for the future. And if you need to kind of track your PD, your professional development hours, you can get a certificate of completion link, and that's available. And Robin will also put that in the chat, so you'll have that available too. And to actually use this link, you have to build a teacher account in CodeHS. Once you do, if you have a teacher account, you can just click on that link. You'll receive an email, and you'll also get a little screen splash like I have here on the bottom right. So what is CodeHS? Well, we're a company that is focused on helping teachers deliver computer science education in K through 12 school districts. It's a comprehensive platform that includes a robust set of teacher tools to help with grading and pacing and academic integrity, as well as full curriculum for K through 12, so that teachers don't have to be both the designer and the deliverer of education. And it's fully online, fully web-based. And if isn't something you've used, I'd encourage you to explore it. I taught 10 years of computer science before using CodeHS, and then 5 years after using CodeHS, and really enjoyed the experience using the platform and the curriculum. But let's talk about AI. Before I jump in to show how to curate content, I was in the classroom in November of 2022 when ChatGPT became commercially available for everybody. And what was your reaction? I remember the first time I signed in and played with it. And if you haven't had the opportunity, you're going to see it today. I think maybe I was like number one. The most popular answer that I've had to this slide is number two. And I don't know if that's popularity of Joey from Friends, but Robin's going with the hard four here. So we're gonna talk a little bit about kind of the excitement and then how you can use it. And when we talk about AI use here at CodeHS, we talk about 5 areas, and today we're gonna focus on this central area. So we're gonna hone in on use cases. But to be, I think, AI proficient, you need to know a little bit about the basics. You need to understand chatting skills. We're going to touch on each of these lightly because you need them to be able to do content creation. And kind of the meat of the sandwich is that center area, which is how can teachers effectively use AI? And then there's also what apps are it in, what you can expose your students to, and then some of the challenges you should be aware of and talk about. We're not going to talk about all these areas today. We're going to lightly touch on 1 and 2 so we can get immediately to 3. So just wanted to share with you, though, the whole picture. And kind of the first area, how does it work? I think this is a great thing to do with students. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. This is a free software piece from Google in their lab area, the Google Labs area, they've created to help people understand how AI and machine learning works. So I'm going to go into it and just show you, I built in about 2 minutes this model, and I'll show you quickly how you can do it. And so in this model, I've uploaded some pictures of squirrels and some pictures of foxes. And then I'm going to train this AI model so that when I upload other pictures, it can identify, is it a squirrel or a fox? And so the training takes a little bit, usually takes 5 to 10 seconds. And now I've done the training. And then it looks at my webcam and says, whoa, who's Dave? And it's saying, I'm definitely squirrely today. A little bit of fox, a little bit of squirrel. I can say, well, I'm not really interested in me. I'm interested in this friend that I have. And I'm going to pull an image up that I have. And it's Carol, who's kind of the mascot for the company. And it says Carol's a fox. And so I would ask students, well, what do you think Carol looks like? And I think most students, elementary or not, would say, hey, that's a dog. That's neither of these. And I would say, well, how come the AI tool's wrong? And most students come back and say, well, it's because you haven't told it that dogs exist. And so you can quickly say, well, let's remedy that. So I'm going to click the add button. I'm going to create a new group called dogs, and I'll go ahead and upload some pictures. So I have some pictures of some dogs. So I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to retrain my model. And so now I'm going to educate my AI model that there's not just squirrels and foxes out in the world, there's also dogs. I'm still squirrely, but a little bit of dog in me too. Now I'm going to go to the file and click on that. And it says, oh, maybe this Carol could be a squirrel or it could be a dog, but I think it's more likely a squirrel. And then you ask your students, why has AI misidentified Carol, which we're pretty sure is a dog? And most students will come up and say, well, maybe you need more pictures of dog, or you need one that looks like it. Or if you look at squirrel, there's a cartoon squirrel and you have a cartoon dog. Those are all answers that students have come up with. And so I'll say, you're right. All those are valid. So let's add another picture of a dog. So now I add a profile of a golden retriever. Let's train the model again. It goes through the steps. And now for me, I could be a squirrel or dog. Let's see, let's go back to that file. And it starts rethinking and it changes the percentage and I start shifting more to dog. So this is how AI works. And it kind of covers all the areas I talked about before. How does it work? What are the basics and what are some of the challenges? For me to ultimately remedy this, I would need more pictures of dogs and preferably a cartoon dog that would match kind of the squirrel image here. So you get the idea. One thing I encourage you to do as a teacher is if you want to expose kids to how AI thinks, this is a great vehicle. So bookmark Teachable Machine, and it's just a great way, I think, to introduce AI into the classroom. All right. Now let's move on to that second area. Okay, now that we know a little bit about the basics, what's an AI chat? Well, the reason they call it a chat is it's essentially a back and forth conversation. But unlike conversations that we have, it tends to be initially more text-based, but now that's changing with some of the voice ability that started to exist in Gemini, which I have on my phone, which has kind of replaced Siri in many ways, or OK Google, or Hello Alexa. So let's go look at that. When you chat, you first need to pick a bot, and there's free ones out there. I have ChatGPT up today. I've used Gemini. I've used Copilot. I've tried them all. All of them They kind of have a free capability where then you can also layer in some pro features. And we'll talk about some of that today. But for today, I'll be using ChatGPT. And if you have your favorite bot, bring it up because you can practice some of the things. And one of the things I share with my students when we talk about AI is, well, why is it important to chat? And I have another kind of link here that's in the Google experiment area that I like to do to show them the importance of chat. And so I'm going to go ahead and begin, and you'll see this. They generate a picture for us. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to get some a little spicier. They generate a picture for us here, and this is a ramen bowl, and we have to describe it. We have to chat with the AI tool, and if we chat successfully, it will generate a picture much like that picture. So I ask students to help me construct the chat, and we'll see how effective we are. And so a lot of times the students will go, oh, tell them to draw a bowl or create an image of a bowl of ramen. And some students will say soup or ramen. And then I'll say, what else? And they'll say with noodles, a half of an egg. I don't know what that other stuff is on there. Maybe that's a pickled, I don't know, pickled accessories. They wouldn't know the word accessories, but I would say, oh, pickled onion. And I would go on and on. And I would have 120 characters to try to describe a bowl of ramen. And I may say what the container is in a ceramic bowl. I'm going to go ahead and say go, and that's my chat with the AI tool. Now it's generating the image. And the more successful my chat was, the closer the image will be, my image to their image. And here I got an 87% match. Woo! I'll be honest with you though, I've done this with other teachers and I've seen people get 92. So I still have people who have beaten me. And so you can say to the students, well, what did I miss out? And maybe I misidentified ingredients, but that's a pretty good job. I don't know what this stuff is on the top of my ramen bowl though. All right. So when I chat's about having a dialogue with an AI tool. And for it to be meaningful to the AI tool, we need to be very specific. And that last example was, showing you that. But when you're doing it in a classroom and when you're doing it to create content, you need to really construct your chat with kind of this mnemonic in mind, parts. You need to talk about what your role is, what the objective of the response you're looking for, or what you're trying to construct, the recipient, who's your target audience, so it could give you an age-appropriate response, what you want the style and tone to be, and the format, how you want it constructed. Do you want a numerical list or do you want a bulleted list? And what kind of this parts mnemonic or this acronym here, this represents a little bit of what you just saw in that last example, a way for me to structure my query with the AI bot so I get the most relevant response. So let's go do that. And we're going to do that in the create content area. But when we talk about AI uses in the classroom, I just put this slide in here because I don't want you to think it's just solely to create content. You can brainstorm to come up with ideas, have it do seating charts, do things that are kind of the administrative teaching, help students tutor to kind of create a baseline for your students, differentiate multiple quizzes, review, also analyze test readiness, look at performance of students on homework or quizzes and see, hey, are we ready for kind of a unit summation or formative assessment? But we're going to focus on content. And I'm going to do it across the different subject bands that elementary teachers focus on. So English, talk about VCE, correct pronunciation of vowels. Here's a good prompt. I'm a first grade teacher. That's the persona. That's who I am. Designing an assessment for my first grade class. who are new to understanding VCE. So that's the recipient. I want you to create a worksheet for my students to show their understanding. So that's the aim of what I want you to do. And I want you to write the instructions simple and easy to understand language. That's the theme, in a numbered format. That's the output structure. So that prompt has all different components of our parts methodology. So I'm going to go and let's feed that to ChatGPT. Let's do this. And I'm going to go ahead and so you don't have to watch me type. I have put these prompts in a doc. So I'm going to go copy them in to ChatGPT. And I'll just throw them in the chat. If you're using Gemini or Copilot or something else, you can give it a shot. So after I paste it into ChatGPT, I just hit the enter or the up arrow and go ahead and it'll generate this content for me. I'm going to do it again here. I might have timed myself out. Here we go. Oh, no. Let me try again. Maybe OpenAI is having an issue. That's okay. We'll try it again. There we go. And you can see how it's thinking, which is pretty interesting. And not all AI tools do that. I'm going to go back up to the top. As it's going through, it kind of gave me, oh, I'm trying to decode what VC is. So it does an investigation. It says, oh, that's vowel consonant. That's what we're doing. And then have to kind of pinpoint some assignments, then target it for first grade. So you can one of the things that ChatGPT has done is tried to demystify what's going on behind the scenes. All right. And then it gives some instructions for the worksheet. Read the word, look at each word below, read it out loud, say the sound, say the vowel, draw a picture, color your drawing. And then it says, here's the words to practice. And so you would say cake or rake or one of these long words, and then ask you to draw it. So pretty simple worksheet. And then it says match the words, and it says draw a line from the word to the correct picture. And so look for you to put pictures in. Oh, I don't really like that. And so I can say, can you generate a picture of a cake and a bike so that I can have these to display to my class? And so that might be a better way to do it. Oh, so it does it with emojis and ASCII art. Maybe I don't like that. So I can say, well, one of the things with ChatGPT is I can choose kind of which AI engine I'm working with. And 4.0 gives me a little more robustness and will generate real live images. So I can say generate a photo quality image of a cake and a bike, and let it go off and generate that image. And so you can see that it can construct that worksheet for me. It'll go ahead and generate an image. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a good looking cake and a bike. And I can keep modifying. I can say add other objects to the image. And then once I get multiple objects to the image, I can present it to the students and say, what object up here, what item up here comports to the VCE standard? And it says, what other objects do I want? And so I'll say, well, table's already there. How about a chair and a man? And I can keep going. So one of the things that you see is the iterative nature, just like conversations of working with AI. So we'll allow it to finish. We'll come back and look at it, and we'll look at other examples. So that's one way to curate content. Let's move up the academic chain a little bit and talk about adding fractions. I'm a fifth grade teacher designing an assignment for my fifth grade class who are new to understanding multiplying fractions. Very difficult. Create a worksheet for my students to show their understanding. The aim, simple fraction, write the instructions again, and simple to easy to understand language in a numbered format. And then probably in that last example, I probably would have said, don't include instructions. I'll include them as the class for first graders because they're not going to be probably reading the instructions at that level. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I am a fifth grade teacher. I'll pop this in the chat. And then I'm going to go give it to ChatGPT. Oh, and here's my final picture. Looks pretty good. Which of these objects comport to VCE, what we've learned about VCE? And you hope your students would say bike and cake, not chair or man or whatever, or man. But let's start a new chat. And the way I start a new chat is I just go click on the new chat button, which is the pencil on a sheet of paper. And I say, okay, now we're shifting over to math. It goes ahead, it'll run, you'll see some of the same things. Here we can definitely have some written instructions. Tells the students, here you go. Here's what you should do. Review the basics, simplify your answer, now practice. And it gives them some examples. And I like the challenge problem. It actually creates an extra there. So you may say, hey, this is great for kind of a, let's start class. We worked on multiplying fractions yesterday. Let's do this. What would you want next as a teacher? Well, I'd want a few things. I'd say generate 3 versions at the same difficulty level. So I could kind of have multiple goes at this, or students are sitting next to each other, maybe having them have different assignments. So I could say, go ahead and do that. It will go off and generate that. And then I could also say, generate solution keys for each version. So as a teacher, I can have a check, on my work. And so here it's running off and it's doing the work, giving me 3 different versions. All right. There's version 3 coming up. So if you're a teacher who's had to kind of build content for the student, or before a quiz, students always ask, can I get more extra problems? Great vehicle to do it. Generate solution keys for each version. It's off and running. And it even shows me the multiple steps, the reduction step, as it said. And I'll stop. We don't need to see that. But this is another great way of curating content. Let's go look at another example. So that was math. Oh, wait, what about word problems? Those are always hard for 4th and 5th graders. Well, can I have one worksheet with word problems for multiplying fractions? And those are hard to come up with. And I could have specified it to be topical on sports or fashion. And here, it gives me 2 responses and asks me which one I like best. And so we can let it run a little bit. And we will. Oh, there's a pizza party. I'm already leaning towards on the right. Response number 2. Response number 1 doesn't say anything about pizza. Oh, there is a cake. Now it's an equal toss-up. All right. So we have 2 different choices, and it starts going through the word problems. We'll let it run a little bit and then come back. All right. How about in science? What could I do? Well, 2nd grade, when you start learning about the plant life cycle, let's go through the same things. Hey, I'm a 2nd grade teacher designing an assignment for my 2nd grade class, the recipient, to understand the plant life cycle. Create 5 projects. It's a little different than a worksheet. Now I'm asking it to kind of brainstorm and create different ways that they could demonstrate their understanding to me, to give some flexibility, see what's going to resonate with them. And then write the instructions again in simple language and provide the answer in a checklist format. So I'm going to go grab that, and I am going to feed that to ChatGPT. Oops, I grabbed too much. Let me just grab this. I'll put this in the chat if anybody wants it. They could try it in Gemini or whatever you want to do. So I'll go to ChatGPT. It's still working, but let's take a look what it did. Oh, it came up with some word problems on a pizza party, gardening, baking cookies, running track, painting a room, book reading. And these are really some good ones. There's some that don't resonate with me, like gardening, like an acre. Are we really talking about acres yet? That may be a concept we haven't exposed. One of the things that you can do in ChatGPT, not in other tools, is I could specifically ask it to take out number 2 and substitute sharing cake from number 1. And that's a new capability they have called Canvas. And so maybe at a future webinar, we'll share that. So I say I prefer response 1, and there are my word problems. All right, let's do that science example. I copy and pasted that. So we're looking at the plant life cycle. So what else? So it's as though you could draw a picture, label each part, show the order, color your drawing. This is what I did. I remember a long time ago, planted a seed in a cup, watched it grow. My cat ate it. And then number 3, create a little book, fold a sheet of paper. We used to do that. You create a poster, act it out. I don't know. I don't know, but that'd be pretty cool to watch a student act it out. But those are really creative. And if I don't like it, I could say, how about some that are more digital? And maybe that's not good for second graders, but maybe a little parent help. I could see what it comes up with. Oh, a slideshow. I don't know if they've used other sides. Animation, a Google drawing, a little book. They give you some tools you can play with. Google Jamboard or Padlet, maybe a podcast, a lot of different creative ideas. But I think you can see how easy it is to come up with project ideas. Let's look at the last one. Social Studies, Veterans Day. I'm a 4th grade teacher. We're covering all the grades here in elementary, maybe not 3rd grade. Designing an assignment for my 4th grade class who are new to the understanding of the importance of Veterans Day. Generate some poster ideas for historical figures relevant to Veterans Day. Again, write the instructions and provide a sample poster image. Oh, so we'll try this. So we'll see what we got here. So I'll go ahead and copy that prompt. Go to ChatGPT, ask it to run. So we'll see what it comes up with here. So here I've asked it to do 2 different things. So I'm curious what it will come up with. So here it generated a sample poster. And one of the things that you should notice if you've been an earlier user of any of the AI tools, the embedded text is getting better and better and better. And if you use Midjourney or Ideogram, you can get it to generate whatever you want. I had to generate a picture of saying Taylor Swift says Dave for president. And I'm Canadian, that can't happen, but I have her endorsement. So, but these text is getting better and better. So that gave me one, but I didn't really get some other ideas. So I can, oh, it did. I just didn't give it enough time. So here it says, pick a veteran, choose a famous historical figure, draw their picture, write their name, big clear letters. Wow, give me some ideas. Well, how about provide a balanced list of 10 historical figures for my students to choose from. So you gave them an example, but maybe you'd like to give them, hey, here's some people that you should think about. And here we go. George Washington, Harriet Tubman, Theodore Roosevelt, Audie Murphy. And so we start seeing a little more of a balanced list. Pat Tillman. I could say, what about the code breakers? and we add to the list. And then goes on, we'll regenerate the list, but should include the Navajo code breakers. And you can see kind of the iterative nature of what we're done. Did it put the code breaker in? No, it did not. Boo. And so that's one of the issues you'll have. Oh, no, it did. Here we go. So I didn't specify Navajo to get a Native American. So it took code breakers as like a technology cyber type person. And so that's an area where we'd have to be more specific. So that's an example of kind of the different content generation that you can do. And there should be some big takeaways. And one should be that you do want to use all components of the parts method. So specifying the persona, the recipient, the aim or the goal of what you're trying to do, what the tone should be, and then how you want it structured. The other is what you get is one part in an iterative step of your journey for creating content. And then the last thing is, I didn't show this, but you have the ability to say, okay, if I want, save that list as a PDF or a CSV. And sometimes this can take a little longer than just a standard prompt, but you'll actually be able to get your content in a ready format to use for the classroom, hopefully saving you some time. So we'll come back to that and take a look at it. So now it's your turn. What ideas do you have? What do you want to put in? Take this as a template going forward and, think about what you're currently working on. And if you're interested, you can share in the chat anything that you would like to try, a topic area, we could run it here, or any questions that you have. But my challenge for you today is to get started, to start doing it right away. And if you're new to AI, it's a real easy and incremental journey. You don't need to be an expert. And if you're interested in other resources and continuing to learn about, what we're doing, explore us. Check out our Facebook group, follow us on social media, and then provide, just some feedback to us. We're interested in where you would need some additional help and if some of these ideas spark some creativity today. And then finally, we do have a certificate of completion if you need a professional development. And I will say, before you click on this last link, make sure you're logged into CodeHS. It'll require you to log in or sign up. And if you haven't, it's just codehs.com/sign up. And if you'd like to learn more, we have many more activities that are available in free webinars, free PD. And some of these, how to run an hour of code before CS Ed Week. Great time to talk to your students about the importance of computer science in their education and starting their journey early. And you can even have a CodeHS representative come to your classroom. So keep following us, look for free PD. And during CS Ed Week, we'll go to 200 schools to visit and educate students on AI and CS and the importance of it in their lives. And the last thing, if you want a special visitor, we have a CS ambassador traveling the country, a 22-year-old named Blake, a recent graduate who's traveling, living out of a pink van and visiting schools and trying to learn what they're doing and to excite them on their journey. So if it's something that you think your classroom would benefit from, Blake's leaving Toronto today and on his way to New York. Sign up and he'll swing through and maybe visit your classroom and your kids. And you'll see the pink van and hear a little bit about Blake's journey in CS as a young professional. And if you'd like to learn more about CodeHS, I believe this is our last link. You can go to codehs.com to learn more, to explore how you can bring CodeHS to your school or your district. But thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate your involvement, and keep in touch. Let us know how you're doing on your AI journey. We're curious, and we're excited for you. Take care, team.